Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world? I hope everything is good and grand and wonderful. Um, it's been a year since I stopped, since I started tapering off of Lexapro. It hasn't actually been a full year. I honestly don't know when I stopped. It was sometime, I feel, in the fall, like September or October, so we're close. We're close enough to call it a year because I know that when a year comes and there's an actual, like, this is the date, um, I won't have an answer. Like, I won't remember that I need to have this conversation. Today I was, for some reason, driving and thought, oh, we haven't talked about my medication in a long time. And the reason is because it doesn't cross my mind at all. And I think that's the big takeaway for a year post Lexapro. Um, the Long ago, I did a video about dreaming while on antidepressants and how intense and vibrant and sometimes disturbing those dreams can be. I never had nightmares, but I heard lots of people said they did have nightmares or other problems. So that video gets comments all the time, and it's really sometimes encouraging comments. Sometimes I feel like I've put myself in a position to reach out to the people who have left comments there and said, I hope everything works out for you. So I feel like I have to make this conversation at some point because somebody is going to find the videos on my channel that are specifically about the medication that they're taking or the particular problem that they're having with their medication, and that might lead them here. And I can tell you that after a year, I don't think about the time that I was on the medication very much at all. I don't think about how the medication affected me very much at all. I will say that the major side effect that caused me to stop taking Lexapro was my lack of creativity. Lexapro stole a huge drive that I had for creativity. What I have learned in the years since is that it wasn't necessarily the creativity that Lexapro stole, that Lexapro squandered. I took it for 4 years. It wasn't necessarily the creativity that I lost, it was the mania. I was probably bipolar. That's just me self-diagnosing. I was never diagnosed as bipolar, but I definitely had mania. I definitely had intense highs where I would, like, for days on end, just hyper-focus on something and everything else loses meaning in my world until I'm done with that. Lexapro stole that. So in my mind, it stole my creativity because during those highs, I just did all kinds of stuff. I no longer have that. I no longer have the intense drive. So that has not changed post Lexapro. And I'm not upset about it. I used to get really intensely involved in things to the point that I ignored the rest of everything that was going on in my life. And then after kind of a shortish period of time, it could be anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, I would suddenly just like completely lose interest in it and it never approach it again. So I did all kinds of stuff during that time, like game design and lock picking and leather work and fly tying and fishing, and I attacked discipline after discipline after discipline of skill feverishly for a period of time, and then one day I just was like, never going to do that again. I have zero interest in it, and I moved on. And I always disliked that about myself. Since being on Lexapro and now stopping the Lexapro, and a year later, I don't have that drive to pick up something feverishly and never execute. I have picked up things feverishly, not as encompassing as in the past, but I have maintained the desire to continue doing those things. One of those would be around December of last year, which was 3 months off the medication or 2 months off medication. I decided I wanted to write a book, and I started working on that. And I got really involved in that process, and I read a lot, and I studied, and I watched a lot of movies that were in the genre that I wanted to write, and I took notes and notes and notes, and then I got to a point where I said, okay, I know where I want to go with this, but I don't think I have the skill set yet to realize it, so I'm going to put it on hold, and I'm going to go back to it. It's still on hold, but I'm not done with it. I can tell you from personal experience that in the past, when I get done with something, I'm done with it. I don't have that feeling this time. I have the feeling of I'm still working on it. There are days when I drive home from work and I'm still thinking about it. So, and, I'm taking notes. I have notes in my phone about it. So, I do not have the drive it and forget it mentality that I used to have. I never experienced a lot of sexual dysfunction on the medication. I had a very, very, very hyper libido prior to taking the medication, and it did dull that quite a bit. I was also in a non-sexual relationship during that time, so that probably was a factor also. It never affected me performance-wise or anything like that. So I have no advice there. Post Lexapro, I still have a strong libido, but it's completely controllable. Whereas in the past, I would say it was probably a problem. Like I was a little bit too not aggressive, I was a little bit too adamantly like demanding when it came to I want all the time. And I don't have that problem anymore. I have that under control completely. I hope. I have to ask. I think I do. There's been some times where, but it is what it is. The dreaming has stopped. I have not had the crazy, vivid, vibrant dreams in quite a long time now. They stopped probably just a few months after stopping the medication, and I don't miss them. I still have some weird dreams, but it's usually right before I wake up, and it's usually because when my girlfriend falls asleep, she likes to leave Rick and Morty on, and I'll wake up in that kind of half-lucid state, like 20 minutes before I wake up, I'm in that half-lucid state, and I start having these crazy Rick and Morty-inspired dreams because I'm listening to the episode that's on as I wake up. Other than that, I haven't had any uninspired, crazy, chaotic dreams. And overall, I would say that my mood has stayed pretty stable. I have had some downs. There have been a couple of times when it was about a week to maybe even 10 days where I was kind of like, I could use a pick-me-up. But I also haven't experienced any super highs. So I've been pretty flatlined over the last year, and but not as flatlined on Lexapro. On Lexapro, I was definitely more just like, more apathetic, definitely. So I'm not nearly as apathetic as I was, but I'm not experiencing the deep dark depression that I was in. So I think that circumstance has played a lot of a role in how I feel right now. My life is not nearly as chaotic as it once was. My life is not nearly as worrisome as it once was and troublesome. I'm not struggling to pay my bills. I'm not struggling to keep up. And that means that I can focus on being happier and healthier so that I can live longer and not drive myself crazy. So that's where I'm at right now. If you have any questions about my time on the medication, my time post-medication, my time pre-medication, what I've been through in my life, if you want to talk about how SSRIs or specifically Lexapro have affected your life, please reach out. If you don't want to go public and put it in the comments, feel free to email me or send me a direct message on Instagram or Twitter. All of those links are in the description below. You can always reach out to me, and I will gladly talk to you about whatever you're going through to the best of my ability. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a licensed clinician. I can't give you any actual medical advice, but I'm more than willing to hear you out and share my experiences with you in the hopes that it helps. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that you have a good weekend. Soccer season officially started here, and we start on Sunday. So I'm going to be a busy dad for the next few weeks because I have one child in physical therapy and one child in soccer, and I'm going to be traveling all over. It's going to be nuts, but I appreciate you stopping in and checking on me and being amazing friends, being wonderful people. I'm super appreciative of you. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for leaving your likes. Thank you for commenting. Thanks for the emails. I got a few voicemails. I'm not going to play them today. We'll talk about that later. Thank you for calling me and leaving me messages. I really do appreciate you, and I'll see you on Monday.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Taser in fact comes from Wikipedia. How much of the Earth's atmosphere is made up of nitrogen and oxygen? It is primarily composed of nitrogen, 78%, and oxygen, 21%, with only small concentrations of other trace gases. Nearly all atmospheric water, vapor, or moisture is found in the troposphere, so it's the layer where most of Earth's weather takes place.